Hi everybody, Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, and today's contract tip is just a brush up and a reminder to real estate agents regarding cyber fraud and how to protect yourself and your clients from this horrible issue in our industry. So stay tuned to the end of the video. This will be a short one on some tips and hints that you can do to help protect yourself and your clients and customers and prospects from cyber fraud. So real estate is an industry that is a target for this type of theft, of electronic theft of money. Real estate agents, closing attorneys, mortgage lenders, because there is money that changes hands electronically via wire transmission. And so there is a lot of opportunity for the bad guys to intercept that information and give false information to unsuspecting public people to take their money, and unsuspecting real estate brokers and closing attorneys as well. So what happens is your email address, Dana at such and such lawfirm.com, or Dana Sells Atlanta, or Dana at danasellsatlanta.com, or Dana at realtor.com. Those are what we like to call a clue to the bad guys that I'm in that industry. And based on that, the bad guys can easily start monitoring my emails and hack into my emails totally unsuspecting. And they'll do it in advance of the actual cyber theft. They'll do it in advance because they have targeted our industry. So there are a lot of steps, precautions that you could take to help even prevent that. But we had a presentation from a cyber protection company, and I'll link that information below. There's several of them out there, but this was fabulous. Just showing us just how easily it is, showed us the website and how easily it is for the bad guys to go on there and access your passwords to your Microsoft account, your Google account, your Gmail, all your emails, all those kinds of things. And then they just sit there and monitor them until they see money information going back and forth. So, but basically it is electronically happening. So not only is the cyber theft and the wire fraud happening via emails, it is also text messages. So you cannot trust a text message too. So basically what happens, bad guys monitor your information, and then they monitor the transactions and they see when it's close to closing. And whether this be, like I said, a real estate agent, a closing attorney, a mortgage lender, once they see that information is being exchanged and shared close to a closing, then they will contact the unsuspecting public on your behalf. It looks like your email address. It looks like the closing attorney's email address. It looks like it's coming from the broker or the mortgage lender. Same thing with text messages. They are spoofing the numbers. It looks like it is coming from one of those trusted parties with a change in wire instructions, or it won't even say change. It might even say something like just to confirm the wire instructions. And again, it is these electronic methods that are being hacked. So I'm going to start with the bottom line, and then we will back into some other issues. Bottom line is never, ever, 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 ever email wire instructions from your own broker, from a closing attorney, from anywhere. Never electronically send wire instructions to the public, even if you're trying to be helpful, even if they aren't for your own broker, so forth and so on. Let your public people know they will never, ever, ever get wire instructions via email or text. You guys have got to add that text information in there also. Again, they are spoofing phone numbers and coming across as text. When your public person does get wire instructions, they need to triple check, cross check, and verify from a third party source. So do not trust any phone numbers or email addresses that come across in those wire instructions, but have your public person call you for the phone number to your broker for their account for wire instructions, or the closing attorney for their account for wire instructions. But cross-check and verify from a third-party access to an authenticated source, closing attorney, broker, so forth and so on. And never, ever, ever put something like wire instructions or payment information as the subject line of an email. You will notice there are many, many brokers and closing attorneys. Even closing attorneys are not using that two-step authentication or proprietary emails anymore for sending wire instructions. And if you are writing a contract on the GAR contract form or the RE forms contract form, there is a paragraph in there that says no wire instructions will ever be emailed to you. Now, this has to do with public people wiring earnest money, wiring down payment money. It is also closing attorneys wiring payoff money to a mortgage company, wiring proceeds from one closing to another closing attorney for a back-to-back closing. So there's all sorts of various things, security deposits, rent, so forth and so on. Anytime money is changing hands electronically, especially not even only wire, but through Zelle or Cash App or PayPal, any type of electronic transmission of funds need to be quadruple checked and verified through a third-party source. So let me back up a little bit and give you guys some additional information, and then I will give you some more clues, some more hints. So let me point out, I talked about it in the contracts. So let me tell you where it actually is in the purchase and sale agreements. So in the GAR purchase and sale agreement, it is contained in the GAR purchase and sale agreement under paragraph C6, warning to buyers and sellers, beware of cyber fraud. And it goes on and on about explaining what cyber fraud is, fraudulent emails, so forth and so on, regarding emails directing buyers and sellers to wire money to a bank different from the one that is the actual true bank. So there's a whole paragraph about that. Make sure as an agent you are covering that with your public people. In the RE forms, it is also in the actual contract itself under paragraph 8.5 in the RE Forms 100 contract for purchase and sale. Again, it says no broker in this transaction shall email or otherwise electronically transmit wire instructions to buyer or seller, again, as a warning. So what are some other best practices for you guys as an agent? Well, your favorite closing attorney or a variety of closing attorneys with whom you work, go to their offices and pick up their wire instructions. Pick up the wire instructions from your own broker. Have them with you and include them as part of your buyer package when you first meet your buyer, so that you may hand them the wire instructions. And then right before that party needs to electronically send earnest money or a payoff amount, then call and verify that hasn't changed with that person. But that way your people will automatically have them on paper. When you meet with them, hand them in person. Send them through the U.S. mail. Send them through an old analog fax. Now, not an e-fax. That can also be hijacked, but an analog fax. When you are negotiating for earnest money to be wired on a purchase and sale agreement, you guys, if the earnest money is going to be wired, you need to make sure that the number of days from binding agreement date is actually enough time to get those wire instructions to the public. Another point of practice is to always include a wire fraud disclaimer and have your customers and your clients sign it. And again, have this discussion with them. Put a wire disclaimer warning as part of your email signature. What about agent liability for wire fraud? Well, there is a separate wire cyber fraud policy that your broker can get that covers your agents. I don't know what other brokers do. At Maximum One, we do have a separate additional cyber fraud policy that covers, because your regular E&O insurance will not cover cyber fraud. Now, in the GAR, Georgia Association of Realtors Purchase and Sale Agreement, there is a statement about agent liability for cyber fraud, but I do not believe that has been tested in the Georgia courts at this point. So don't want any of you guys watching this video to be a test case, but you might want to check with your broker to see if your broker does have an additional cyber insurance policy to cover if your email does get hacked, even unknowingly. Now, obviously, it's not going to cover any actual fraud, but there are all sorts of things that it does cover and does not cover. Additionally, you can there are a number of suggestions and best practices if you Google cyber insurance coverage solutions for a business. And that, again, talks more about the cyber liability insurance, as well as some steps that you can take as a real estate agent, as a small business, as a broker, to protect yourself, your company, and your agents from being the victim of cyber fraud, where thousands to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars can get hacked. And it's not like making a claim against a credit card. It's not that a credit card company will cover it. The cyber, if a wire is hacked and the bad guys get it, I believe there is some information from the banks that if you can catch it within 24 hours, they can maybe catch it. But after that length of period, it's gone. And once it's gone, it's gone. And, you know, if for example, if a buyer's down payment that was wired to the closing attorney gets hacked and it's gone, there's going to be, not only is the money not there, they're not going to be able to close on the house, they're also more than likely going to be in default of the contract as well for not being able to close, should that be the case. So that is a dire situation and circumstance. But it is a serious issue for, well, cybersecurity for real estate agents. There is a company called Beyond Computer Solutions. I'm sure there's others out there, but they did a fabulous presentation for agents at Maximum One, and they covered a variety of things. They can do a forensics test of your email address, but they gave us a ton of great information to help your email, regarding double authentication, types of emails, specific things you can do for cybersecurity for real estate, multi-factor authentication apps, password managers. There are some good ones out there. There are some bad ones out there. VPN solutions. There are a bunch of things that you can do to take steps to protect yourself, so that you and your clients are not a victim of cyber fraud. And additionally, again, as I already mentioned, but I'm going to link below, thank you to Andy Hartman of the Hartman Law Firm, who has authored the cybersecurity, the wire fraud disclosure disclaimer that we use, that we have all of our public people sign. If you are not a Maximum One agent, I encourage you to get with your broker, get with a closing attorney, and make sure that you have something in writing that you can demonstrate you did have your public people sign, that you did have this discussion with your again, with your clients and customers and prospects regarding this issue, and just to protect that money. There are other ways that, as I mentioned, there are even a lot of closing attorneys that are just putting wire instructions either in the U.S. mail, or you can come by and pick them up, or you can give them to them over the phone. But even a lot of closing attorneys are no longer using this, the word just went out of my head, the authenticated, the super secret spy emails anymore. They're not even using those anymore. It's such a huge issue. So I will link below the wire fraud disclaimer that we use. I will link below the contact information for those resources that I mentioned. And again, if you are not a Maximum One agent, I definitely urge you, number one, to protect yourself, protect your license, protect your public, but have this discussion with your broker about steps that you guys can all take in the face of wire fraud and to protect yourself electronically from hacking and cybersecurity for real estate. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dana Sparks, broker. Oh, one more thing. You also need to have a discussion with your public people. There is a new fraud, a new form of cyber fraud for money. So number one, we talked about wire instructions via email, via the electronic apps, via text messages. Here's the third thing. Y'all ready for this? You need to have a discussion with your past clients, your past purchasers especially, that a mortgage company will not call them or email them to verify where they are sending their payments to, or if they are sending their payments to the right place. Now, a mortgage company might sell the servicing of the mortgage to another lender. So there could be a change in where the public person is sending their mortgage payments to. But again, make sure your past buyers who have a mortgage know the first loan originator, whoever originated the loan, will always have access to whom is servicing that mortgage and the actual real contact information for that mortgage service provider. So that's another reason for you agents, when you're working with buyers, make sure to do your best effort to have your buyers work with a loan officer, a mortgage company, a lender that you know, love, and trust, and that you know you can call, they can call, and get an actual person that can help them even moving forward after the mortgage loan has been processed and is being serviced. Because again, at the beginning of the year, when homeowners, people are filing for homestead exemption, even throughout the year, these bad guys will call, and it's sales or public knowledge, so they can scour the public records, and they are contacting your people and pretending like they are a new mortgage servicer, and they want to verify the mortgage loan number or the social security number or the address, something like that, and they will purposefully give a wrong number, wrong digit. And you're like, no, that's not it. Let me get it correct. So again, just do not trust anybody when you are getting an email, a phone call, or a text message, anything having to do with your money, and cross-check and triple verify through a trusted third-party source. Woo, now I'm done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, satisfying your needs with service, innovation, and education.